right, guys, welcome to this morning's live. We're going to do something fun. We're going to go over this bass line that I uploaded a short that seems to be a little bit popular on my channel and on a few other channels that I run. And let's go ahead and talk about it. So the first thing is this second line groove kind of sound. We're doing the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3. The great thing about this particular bass line is it's built right off of the triad of whatever key you're in. 5, 3, 1 are your fingerings no matter what key you're in. If you picked, let's say G, it's the same thing. 1 and 2 and 3, same fingering. If you're in A flat, doesn't matter the key, it's the triad. So you have 1, 3, and 5. And the most important thing is, where do the beats line up? 1 and 2 and. That's the tricky part on this simple bass line, is that you're using the and, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. And for my students, I like to teach that you practice hands separately. And because I've practiced these things hands separately, I can talk to you guys while I play it, and I only have to think about it. So my muscle memory is built up for this thing. And the same thing when you're doing a simple exercise like this, a simple lick, right? You want to be able to play this in all keys, even the flat keys where you have to hammer on. But you build up muscle memory by doing these kinds of things. You put the hands separate, and then when you put it together, 2 and, you figure out where do the beats line up. 1 and 2 and. Well, the C is against the E right there. And 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Somebody messaged me 2 days ago, and they said they're having trouble locking up the hands, and I think they're talking about this kind of blues where you're doing the eighth notes and 3 and 4 and like this. And they said, I'm having trouble with my coordination. And I always say, no matter what kind of bass line you're using, what kind of style, if you break it down in its most simple form of one, you have to decide where do or find out where do the beats line up, but also if you play it straight. So instead of with a little lilt, instead of like this, instead of really loose and slow, I'm going to do it like this. And I find out where the beats line up, and I practice it almost like a classical piece. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. So in the same way for this piece right here, which is already straight anyway, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you guys are coming in on this live, make sure you like the live, because I'm usually just doing lives for my students. I have a really awesome student group. We did our live this morning, but I'm going to start doing more lives for our community as well, the YouTube family. So make sure you like this video and comment, say hello if you get a chance. And I want to make sure I am actually live, so give me 1 second to do that. I'll pull up YouTube on my phone. But we have some really cool things I'm going to go over. Yeah, it looks like I'm live. So, all right, so we're good. All right, let's get into this lesson. So the short that I did was just this idea of using your comping chords with this second line groove, and it's like this. I go to G, and I did this. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, let's talk about what I'm doing here. And I'm going to do a lesson on this because it would be a nice little 1 minute lesson on how to do this. It's important to be able to do this kind of thing in any key, and the same thing for all of these simple ideas that we're doing, right? We want to be able to play and build the confidence to play in any key. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to learn this bass line. So what's happening? The first thing is whatever key you're in. In this case, we're in the key of C. I'm doing C, and then I do B flat. So I'm going down a whole step in my right hand. C, B flat, and then chromatically down. That means one key at a time, right? C, B flat, A, A flat, and G, and I get down to the fifth of whatever key I'm in. D, da, 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 da. And in my left hand, I'm doing C, E, F, F sharp, G. So I'm going to the third of the scale of C, and then I go chromatically up to the G of the C scale. So we practice this. Dee, da, 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 da. It doesn't matter what key I'm in. If I was in the key of F, I find my Fs, and I'm going to go to the third of the F scale, which is A, and go down a whole step. Dee, da, 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 da. If I was in G, same thing. I'd find the G, and I go down a whole step and up to the third and go chromatically. And notice that they arrive on the same note. So in this case, the fifth of G, which is D. Let me go back to C and do that. So you're now on G and G. A nice little simple turnaround for any key, any blues song. So here we go. We're gonna do, and what's a turnaround? A set of changes, chords that get you to the top again, the top of the form, so the beginning of the blues. All right, so what we did yesterday is, or for that short, is I played this voicing right here. In my left hand, I'm playing the bass line C, E, and G, so 1, 3, 5 of the C major scale. In my right hand, I did a C9 chord. Let's talk about how we build our chords. We take the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We're gonna go to the third of that scale, and that's our third, and we're using our thumb for that. On the B flat, we're using the flat 7 of B flat, of C, which is B flat. And then on the top, we have that D. Now, that's not the second of the scale in this case. It is if you say C, D, E, F, G, but we call that the ninth note because what we're doing is we're building harmony notes. We're building a chord. And after we get to the flat 7 and we add notes on top, now that becomes the 9. So 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9. And technically I could go sharp 11, 13, so I'm adding chords on top of it. But we're stopping at the 9th and we're using a very simple 3, flat 7 of a C scale, C major scale, and the 9 to get this chord. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how we're going to build this. As I've said many times, the way we get confidence and build these bass lines and put these chord progressions together is we have to slow it down, and we also have to work in sections. For instance, if I just told you, hey, play this, a lot of you would have trouble with it because you don't know where the beats line up, and maybe you're just not comfortable with playing this kind of thing. So what we have to do is slow it down and take it in steps. And I'll show you the very first step is you're going to play the chord with the C bass. 1, 2. So 1, 2. And notice that I only played the D up at the top once. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. So I'm practicing this, and now I'm going to get to beat 3. Watch this. 1, 2, and 3, and. 3 and is the E by itself, and then E and B flat together. 1, 2, and 3, and. Now, I think it's important to talk about, do a quick theory lesson right in the middle of this as we're waiting for some people to come on the live, is that one thing is that these are called guide tones, and I called this the guide tone blues. And the reason because the guide tones are really important. Well, what in the world are guide tones? Guide tones are the third of the scale and the flat 7 of the scale in this case. It's the third and the 7th. In this case, it's the flat 7. Let's talk about what guide tones do. If I said to play the 3 and the 7 of the scale, this would be the 3 and the 7 of the C major scale. Those are also guide tones. It's the 3rd and the 7th. But what do the 3rd and the 7th do? The 3rd tells you whether or not the chord is major, happy sound, or minor, sad sound, right? That's the chord quality. The 7th note tells you whether it's a major 7, happy sound, or a dominant 7th, a flat 7. In this case, we're using flat 7. So 3 and flat 7 or jazzy or bluesy kind of chord is a C7, and we're using guide tones, the 3rd and the 7th. The great thing about guide tones is they want to go to the next closest related notes, which are now it's a flat 7 and a 3 note for the 4 chord of the blues, which is F7. right? So you have 3, flat 7, and by going down a half step, now you reverse the order, flat 7 and 3. And whenever we spell our chords, it's always left to right. If I say, hey, spell out a C7 chord, you would give me the 1, the 3, the 5, the flat 7. And you always go left to right in the same way that we read left to right. So if you're ever spelling chords and I say 3 flat 7, you're going to give me that. Now that's going to go down to this. Now when I said it went to flat 7 3, this is an important thing as well, is that flat 7 is actually of the F scale, which is F, G, A, B flat, C, D. Normally has an E, but I said flat that, and that's your flat 7 and your third note of the F scale. So whenever we're building chords, we have to refer to the major scale of the chord we're trying to build, and that's why we have to learn, or it's important to learn, all of our major scales. So listen how nice that sounds to go from the C, which is the 1 chord of the C blues, to an F, which is the 4 chord of the C blues, right? 2, 3, 4, 1. So these are guide tones. Now the only chord that we have to add to this is the 5 chord of the C blues. Well, what's the 5 chord? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the scale of C. It's the G7, and I'm using flat 7 and 3 of a G major scale. Normally G major has 1 sharp, F sharp, but we're going to flat that, and that gives you an F and the third note of the G scale, which is B. Now let's take a quick shortcut look of whatever chord, whatever note you're on. If you want to find the flat 7 of that scale, all you do is go down a whole step, so 2 notes, and it's F. The third of the G scale is B, and I need to find, there's G, I want to find the flat 7, I go down a whole step. So this is the same chord shape as the F, flat 7 of F scale and 3. It's just transposed. That's G, that's the same voice on F sharp, that's F. So I went from the 3 flat 7 of C to the F flat 7 3, and then at the end I go to the G7 flat 7 3 to the F7 flat 7 3, and then the root again, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and play this groove again, just talking about the putting the pieces together. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... All right, so let's do it. Let me slow it down again. So first thing is you have to get the confidence by doing 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. What I like about this one on 4 and is watch what's happening. You have your G note is on beat 4 and. So then you do an and. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. Again, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right, let's go ahead and let's work on the second measure, because that has a little tricky part in the middle, but the neat thing about the second measure is it's all off beats for this E and B flat, all off beats in the right hand. So we have, let me do the first measure and then I'll start practicing the second measure. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and first we hit, the second measure we hit the C first, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and once again our beat 4 is with our thumb. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and the E in the second measure, the E and the E and B flat are together on the and of 2. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and I'll just do the second measure and loop it. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now I'll do the first measure again. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. right, so for my students, I wrote out this exercise, and it's good to be able to break it down, right, to put it all together. The great thing about, as you learn these different patterns, you can use them over any kind of blues that you want to play, especially solo piano blues, and you can mix the styles together. When I first started the video this morning, I did that example 1, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. But I could do it like this: 2 and 3 and. So I'm just mixing the two, right? So let me put it in another context with, as you start to learn very simple ideas, is you want to make sure that you can add all of these ideas over a different bass line. If you guys know my most popular video on YouTube, which has sent probably everybody to my channel, is the one I did probably 6 years ago, maybe even longer now, the one that's coming up on 1 million views. And people like that. I think they like it the most because I jumped right in. I didn't do any filler talk, and I just started playing and showing you guys how to become a blues pro in like an hour or something like that. The video quality is horrible. The audio is very, very bad, but for some reason people seem to like it. The reason I mention that is because at first, the very first bass line I think I taught on iMusicAcademy was this right here, right? We have this, and 2 and 3 and 4. So you have the idea right here. And then I think I showed you guys how to do like that lick and maybe this one. Right, so you have this, and then I think I showed you a diminished lick in there as well. But as you learn these different bass lines and you practice left hand only, you're going to start to notice that you build confidence and you build muscle memory, so you don't even have to think about the left hand, right? With my students, we also do single instead of the 8th note, so it'd be the same things in the right hand, but just quarter notes. Which I like that sound as well. Notice that the same licks work, right? Or the same comping work. Okay, so when you learn this bass line like the one I'm teaching today, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, we can do the comping chords, right? Or we can put the right hand lick. Or the lick. And then the comping. And then you go to F, it's the same exact pattern, just on a different set of notes. And in fact, so if you learn it in C and you go up to F, it's the exact same way that you do your hands. And same thing with the lick. Same thing on G. F, same thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about one other thing, and then we'll wrap up for today. But one of the first things I like to teach, and you guys know this from my courses, I love to teach shapes. I've even done shape courses where I show you, okay, this is shape 1, the first 4 notes of the first 5 notes of the blues scale. And why is this important? Because if you even know the first 5 notes of the blues scale, you already have notes that are going to work over every single chord. Technically, if I was playing the blues and I'm just doing this, all these notes are going to work And I could use the relative minor. I could go to A minor and do the same thing. Right, it means I already have notes to play that's gonna work over the entire blues. But I get into these particular shapes, and even up here is the top half of the blues scale. That's another shape. You could go. And not even using the major third yet, but we will get there. So here's your shape, first 5 notes of the blues scale. You can use this shape, and you can use this third shape up here at the top. Now, the reason this is important is as I'm using these comping chords, or I could go. All right, let's talk about what I'm doing there. It's a very simple fill there. What am I doing? I see we have, it looks like we have 4 people watching. You guys say hello, and somebody put in the comments, let me know that you guys are here and alive and awake on a Thursday and that you're enjoying this. Normally I'm doing these lessons just for my students, but I thought I would get on and start doing some lives again if you guys are enjoying these. All right, now what did I do? I took this shape of blues example 1, or sorry, blues shape 1, the first 5 notes of any blues scale, and I went up to the tritone, the 4th finger, da 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 da, da 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 da, and then I went to the comping, right? That seemed to work nice. Ba da 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 da. I could do it like this. Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. And then I could go ba da da ba da da, ba da da da. Ba da 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 da. You could go. Very, very simple that you pick very easy ideas and put them all together. All right, so let's go back to this idea of you guys that are just joining are going to have to go back and get this bass line down. And what we're doing is I decided to do a live on one of my shorts that is going, it's not viral, but in the shorts world, it's pretty popular right now. Of just this idea of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we're adding a C9 in the right hand. And we're learning how to put the comping chords together. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Just another idea for your left-hand bass line comping chords in the right hand, but also you take your simple licks like you guys have learned, right? If you guys are watching this video, I will guarantee you that you probably watched the How to Be a Blues Pro in 1 hour, which is so hilarious that's my most popular video. Hey Vicky, how's it going? Good morning. All right guys, so let's go ahead and put that together. So not only do you have the bass line going, but you can put the right hand licks with it. Very simple ideas. And it's good to focus on certain licks or ideas to go with your bass line. So what I'm doing is, on purpose, I'm just doing this one lick, and I might go up to C, might go up to F and do the same thing. I might go up to G and do something there, same exact lick. But I'm practicing it in these 3 different keys for the C blues, but I'm also building up confidence, right, to be able to play these things and to kind of do slight variations of them. Sometimes instead of just going up and down, sometimes I go back. I do this, right? And then what I did is I said, let's take this first shape. Everybody needs to know the first 5 notes of whatever blues scale you're in, and all the notes are going to work over your blues improvisation, and each finger is already sitting over a note, so you can turn those around. And you'll always have something to play. So if you said, all right, da 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 is the lick you're going to practice, you just wear it out, right? Da 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 da. Ba da da da. Or slow it down. Da 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 da. Da da da. All right, so let's wrap up by just going over. Let's do this idea of the comping chords over this bass line that I really want you guys to work left hand only. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's awesome, Vicky. I'm glad you like it. 2, 3 and 4, and then we'll do it with the 8th note bass line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And we'll do it with our quarter note bass line. You're building some confidence. Here's the guide tones. And then do this at the end. And at the beginning of this lesson, I showed you guys how to do that. Pick any key, and you go root, and you go down a whole step up to the 3rd. The other thing I'm doing is, once you get the fingerings going, where you're doing your guide tones even, and for those of you guys who have the sheet music, you have the exact way that I was playing it on here. I was doing the... But once you start improvising with it and you get really comfortable with the chord and playing the chords, then you start making up your own rhythms. As I was just doing just then, I was doing... And find what you like. Here we go, let's do the lick again. Da 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 da. let's do the 8th note bass line. Here we go. All right, here's the comping. Let's do it over there. So here's my C9. All right, now let's put this with this idea of da 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 da. Let's put it with the 8th note bass line. 2 and 3 and 4. Da 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 da. I kind of like the da 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 because it kind of gives me that train sound, right? Of like, right? Da 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 ba da 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 da. What do I do right there? Instead of just going dee-da-da, I did. All right, let's do a quick review of everything, what we did. We started off by just doing this, making sure that you have the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I want you guys to build up finger memory when you do this. Muscle memory, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 2 and 3 and 4. And pay attention to your third finger on the E. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it doesn't matter what key you're in. It's the same exact thing. It's based on the triad, same fingering, even in F sharp, even in B. Just moving to the keys a little bit. C, right? We're building some confidence to be able to do that. But we're going to focus just on C. And then you guys who have that PDF, it's just example 1. It's a good starting place. And what's happening? 1 and 2 and. The C lines up with the E. Very important. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Same when you go to F, the 4 chord of the C blues, same exact thing, same exact motion. Back to C, go up to G, All right, so you're going to practice that for a while. Also, you're going to practice a single note. In just a minute, I will do a review of the whole PDF for the second line groove. Here we go. Quarter notes. So we have 3 bass lines so far, or 2 bass lines so far. We have the second line groove. You have your 8th note pattern. And now we're going to do quarter notes. doesn't matter what level you are. I like this as a great warm up. Go to F, do the same thing. G. And I'm just doing 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, da 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 da. And this comes right out of the first shape, the C blues, first 5 notes of the C blues scale that I love for you guys to know, basically in all keys eventually. I want you to be able to do that. Ba ba da da da, or ba da 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 da, building confidence there. Okay, so the lick for today that we're putting with the second line groove is this, da 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 da. And I want you to wear that lick out, have fun with it. But what we're doing is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and ba da 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 da, ba da da da, ba da da da. Okay, let's break it down again. How did I get this? We practice at the very beginning of this video in 2 different ways. We do measure 1 and then measure 2, right? The first measure is the C9 together with the C. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. Notice that I'm just doing the very first part. I'm working on each beat. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and is really important. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and then the next measure isn't nice to practice by itself because of this. Watch this. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and the next measure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So notice that my left hand is by itself, 1, my right hand is on the and all of these are ands in the right hand. We have E and B flat, which are our guide tones. And we do, for the second measure, we do 1 and 2 and these are together, E and the B flat on the and of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then once again, beat 4 with our thumb on G is beat 4, and then you do an and, 4 and. So listen to just measure 2 by itself. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Let me do it super slow. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now put the 2 together. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. One more time. The only thing we're going to add to this is the ba ba da 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 da, right? 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and once again the first 4 notes of the blues scale, but it's this 5-note blues shape that I would love for you guys to get down. Ba da 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 da. This was great to practice licks and kind of wear them out so that you feel comfortable doing them. So what you're going to do is you add that kind of lick in the space. Listen to this. We're going 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. Da 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 da. And 4 and a 1 E. So let me try it really slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2. Yeah, so notice that I went back to this first example, and occasionally I would go da 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 da, and notice how it works seamlessly together if you're just doing this. Good to practice it in different ranges as well, right? right, guys, I enjoyed hanging out with you. I hope you have an awesome day, and thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this video if you're enjoying this, if you guys want me to do more lives. And to all my students, you guys are awesome. Keep up the great work, and I'll talk to you soon.